Good afternoon to you. Mark Sutton with HurricaneTrack.com here with your Hurricane Outlook and discussion for Tuesday, May 21st, 2019. Want to go over a couple things real quick here. Andrea, subtropical storm, now it's just a depression. Easy come, easy go. It formed yesterday afternoon, not long after I did my update yesterday. And it's located to the southwest of Bermuda, which is right here. Not a big problem, and it does not mean that we're going to have a very bad hurricane season or anything like that. The western Atlantic, though, is warmer over here, for the most part, than average. And so maybe there is, a little bit of concern that once again we're going to have these out of the tropics. Remember, the deep tropics are typically thought of as being down here, roughly, and this is up here in the subtropics. By the way, that's not necessarily why it's called a subtropical storm. It's just more the way it is structured, and typically these types of systems occur in the subtropics, but you can get these subtropical storms even in the northern Gulf of Mexico. Think about Lee, subtropical storm Lee back in 2011 as an example. Nevertheless, the warm waters of the western Atlantic over here maybe having a little bit to do with the genesis of this system, and that's something that's been around for the past several years, though. The western Atlantic's been anomalously warm, and all that implies. So there might be some teeny tiny amount of extra energy there, but it has nothing to do with energy that comes off of Africa later in the season, and where those systems might end up. The placement of the Bermuda Azores High out here, that's a big question mark. Try to draw one anyway. And this is just not related to that, so I just wanted to put that to rest. Get rid of this tab. So here's the broader picture. A couple things I want to point out. There is the cloud feature associated with Andrea. Fairly busy intertropical convergence zone, albeit suppressed fairly far to the south. I mean, there's 10 degrees north latitude right there, but it is fairly active for May. All these mid-latitude extratropical systems way up here in the northern latitudes of the western hemisphere. And then down here in the eastern Pacific, we have this monsoon trough that's extending across this way. It's an area of convergence, kind of like a grapevine. But we also have this broad overall cyclonic turning in here, this Central American gyre showing up, broad area of just lower pressure. Some westerly winds coming in here at the 5,000 foot level of the atmosphere, and you have your easterly trades coming in this way, still pretty strong overall, and you get this broad turning that happens with the passage also of a favorable Madden-Julian oscillation, which is a fancy way of describing that the atmosphere is trying to become fertile, if you will, for upward motion to blossom these thunderstorms into. So what I'm getting at, we're going to have to watch this area more than anything over the next few days, because I think something is going to develop there, and the eastern Pacific will have its first bona fide named tropical cyclone. All right, so a quick look at Andrea, what's left of it here. A lot of the energy that helped to kick this off from the atmosphere has left the building, as they say, moved off this way. And what little upper ocean heat content and latent heat is in the atmosphere, giving this just a little bit of life left. Other than that, it is not a problem. Not going to kick up any major surf for the East Coast or anything like that. It's hard to tell on this shot exactly where Bermuda is. Trying to pick it out. I can't find it. There's no lat long in here. Bermuda is somewhere in here. I do know that. Clouds, a few showers. Again, that's nice if you want to get a little extra rainwater, fresh water for the cisterns. Not bad. Down in the Caribbean, just a quick note, easterly flow coming through here. You can clearly see that on this wonderful high definition GOES 16 satellite animation. And then in the opposite direction from the low level flow coming in here, you can clearly see the upper level winds are moving opposite that. That's what we call shear, or at least one form of it. And U.S. British Virgin Islands all the way through the northern leewards, all the way down to the windwards, not much rain at all, maybe a pop-up shower here and there. high clouds streaking out of the southeastern Pacific across the greater Antilles, and that's about it. If you need rain, it's not coming anytime soon, unfortunately. Real quick look at the structure. Still fairly robust, 850 millibar signature. That's about 5,000 feet up in the atmosphere normally. And this shows, like I said, if you took an x-ray and you wanted to see how somebody's doing, or a CAT scan or whatever, this is my analogy to that. This is a good way to see the structure internally of the overall system and its vorticity. The spin, is it bundling the energy? And it's trying to, but water temperatures and the instability around this area, the fuel, if you will, just not there this time of year. That's why we don't get hurricanes typically in May. Subtropical storms, these loose developed storms like last year we had with Alberto that went into the Florida Panhandle, sort of a harbinger of what was to come with Michael, but obviously quite a bit weaker. We do get them sometimes in May, not unprecedented. It seems, though, this is the 5th year in a row that we've had May development, so perhaps we need to make the hurricane season in the Atlantic begin May the 15th. But we haven't had any hurricanes develop in May in the last 5 years, so let's don't stretch it too far. These tropical storms, while they can be problematic, a hurricane is a completely different beast in terms of the wind. I mean, you know already. Anyway, here's the energy over the Great Plains. Just wanted to point that out, that has caused and still causing all that ruckus there. But down here, this is what I'm focusing on next, because we do have the Eastern Pacific hurricane season in full swing, and the National Hurricane Center giving this a 50% probability of developing over the next 5 days. Where would it track? Let's see if I can click on this to get the graphical. That's, come on, cooperate. Nope, that's not the one I want. That's the one I want. These are not the maps you're looking for, to quote the stormtroopers, or Obi-Wan from Star Wars. Anyway, see, I screwed that up completely. This is the map I'm looking for, yes, and there's the track area of concern, and I do believe this will go on to develop. The models are starting to pick up on it. Water temperature is plenty warm over here. The instability is there. It's a favorable part of the Eastern Pacific Basin this time of the season, and so I think this will go on to do something. In fact, we can look at the GFS here. This is from Tropical Tidbits. Over the next 120 hours right now, we're about 96 hours out in the loop. It's going to start over right now. And that's the area that I'm interested in right there. That's the energy. You can see it go away over there from Andrea. Watch as this starts over. This GIF animation, I can't control it. So it just goes and goes and goes. There's the energy from Andrea. See you, goodbye. Now, you can see this curvature in the overall wind barb structure down in the southeastern Pacific coming out of the Western Caribbean, from the Eastern Caribbean, certainly. And I think that's going to spawn that right there. You can see it just as plain as I can. The energy bundles to the south of, looks like El Salvador, Guatemala, and vicinity. And we should have our named storm out there. And that will be something to keep an eye on for possible significant impacts somewhere over here. And maybe if this thing dances around and then crosses over, you never know. We got to watch. And with this kind of a pattern, look this too. Wow, look at that huge area of high pressure in all layers of the atmosphere up over the southeast United States, just getting stronger over the next 5 days. That, my friends, is what helps to keep this buried for a while. First of all, this air up here, denser, thicker high pressure, deep layer high pressure compared to this lowering of the pressures. And so this is not going to have a chance to just rocket north into the Caribbean. It may if it stays around long enough. We'll have to see. But that will be the focus of a future update. All right? So there you go. Just a quick look at what's happening out there. Almost hurricane season in the Atlantic. It is hurricane season in the southeastern Pacific. And so as long as I'm around and available, I'll be doing these updates on a daily basis. If you are new or following on YouTube, have been following or what have you, be sure to hit that little bell button. I hear the gamers and other people that my kids watch. I mean, YouTube is a vaunted force in the universe. Lots and lots of people watch that for their entertainment, whether it's gaming, news, information, conspiracy theories, You name it, it's on there. But the one thing I've noticed is they all say, turn on the notifications. Why? If you want to hear when I've posted the latest update, that's the way to do so. Hit that little bell, make sure you're notified. I am also on Twitter and, of course, on Patreon, trying to spread the word across as many platforms as I can. As always, I appreciate you tuning in from your side of the screen. I am Mark Sudduth for HurricaneTrack.com. We'll talk again soon.